1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Yeah, Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour.
Welcome to the Crazy Chester Radio Hour. I'm your host, Andreas Werner, record producer, songwriter, composer with a Muscle Shoals heart. And today is a really special episode for me because I will be paying tribute to the great George Jackson, my mentor, my friend, even my songwriting collaborator. And today, 80 years ago, George was born. March 12, 1945. George Jackson was a legendary songwriter who wrote many classic songs, including old-time rock and roll for Bob Seger, Down Home Blues for C.C. Hill, One Bad Apple for the Osmonds, The Only Way's Up for Otis Clay, and Get Involved, one of my personal favorites for George Soulé. Born in Mississippi, George is known for his association with the Muscle Shoals recording scene, first writing for FAME and later for Muscle Shoals Sound, before writing for Malaco, which brought him back to Mississippi. Starting in the 1960s, he also released a string of records for labels like High, Decca, MGM and FAME, including the seminal Aretha, Sing One For Me in 1972. More recently, several albums collecting his soulful singles and songwriting demos have been released, and I urge you to check those out because they are world class. I became a huge fan of George's by listening through those releases. And in 2009, I decided to send an email down to Malaco Records to see if there might be a way for me to check out their studio and meet George, who was living down there and writing for Malaco down in Jackson, Mississippi. And I got an answer back from a man by the name of Burton Doss, who since became a good friend of mine, and said, yeah, sure, come down. George would love to see you. So I did. I drove down to Jackson from Muscle Shoals and went to see George. And I met him, and you know, for me, he was a giant, but he was also a humble and soft-spoken man. And he didn't learn to drive till he was in his 50s. And he drove me to a meet and three, I remember, and I was a little shaky, you know, but it was such a great time. And I couldn't believe when he offered to write a few songs with me, kind of out of the blue. I would have never asked him because you don't do that with a legend, with somebody you admire. But I certainly took him up on it, and we got to write a few songs, and I would like to play you some of those here in a little bit too. And I mentioned my friend Burton. He actually suggested that I should sit down with him and ask him a few questions, and that they would record him. And so on the same day, literally, I just met him. I sat down with him and recorded this conversation. Actually, Kent Bruce did it in the Malaco Studio. This was in November 16, 2009. And looking back, I wish I wasn't so green. I had better questions and less of an accent too, and could really meet George more, you know, face to face. But we sat there, and I was just grateful to be talking to him. And the interview from that day, I'm going to share with you here in a little bit too. It could be the only long-form interview that George ever gave on record. I'm not aware of any other one. So I'm certainly glad to have it. All thanks to my friend Burton Doss, who also introduced me to the whole Malaco crew, Wolf Stevenson and Stewart and Tommy Couch and everyone. Yeah, I mean, I'm just super grateful that I got to meet George, that I got to work with him. And then much later, we lost him to cancer, which was super sad. I was hoping maybe we could, write some more songs, but he's certainly been on my mind ever since, and I listen to his records all the time. Sometimes the songs we wrote together. Mickey Buckins became one of my best friends, and Mickey and George wrote a string of really, really great songs together, including Double Lovin' and Heart on a String, just two immortal classics. And so Mickey's been telling me about their time, and so which brought me a little bit closer to George in a way too. I also got down to Jackson, Mississippi when George was still around, and him and Harrison Calloway were inducted into the Jackson, Mississippi Hall of Fame, which was a great event, and I was glad to share it with George and Cap. But anyway, I wanted also to show you a little bit of what George and I did, and I wanted to let you peek into our songwriting process on a song we wrote together called Juke Joint Music and Neon Lights. I had a little title and an idea called Saturday Night that I brought in, and then he came up with the riff, and there we went. And this first version is our little work tape that I just recorded on my phone as we were writing it.
You're rolling 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been rough. I got to keep on going, and the going get tough. From Tuesday to Wednesday, it's the same old thing. I need to get away and go out for a change. It's Saturday night. Shining bright. Wanna hear some juke joint music and see those neon lights.
And that was George on piano and vocals, and he had a very gentle way of playing the piano. And we wrote a song at the Malaco Studio down in Jackson. He actually wanted to write something specifically for Bobby Blue Bland, who was about to come in the studio to record another project. So after writing the song, we got together with Harrison Calloway and recorded a demo down there that's geared towards Bobby Bland. And this is an excerpt of that demo.
I work all the week long, and the week have been rough. I got to keep on going, and the going get tough. From Tuesday to Wednesday, it's the same old thing. I need to get away and go out for a change. Oh, Saturday night, when the stars are shining bright, I wanna hear some juke joint music and see those neon lights. Saturday night, and the stars are shining bright, I wanna hear me some juke joint music and see those neon lights.
And that was Harrison Calloway on the piano, George on vocals, there's a live guitar, and the rest is programmed. And so Unfortunately, Bobby Bland passed away not too long after, and he never got to make that album. But knowing that he heard the song and knowing George thought of it highly enough to pitch it to him meant a whole lot to me for sure. And a little bit later, I actually took it up to Nashville and recorded a version with Dick 50, which was Delbert McClinton's band at the time, as Lynn Williams on drums and percussion, Steve Mackey on bass, Kevin McKendry on keys, and Rob McNally on guitar. And he saw it, as a demo for me. I always wanted a African American R&B singer to sing in, and I really need to get it to somebody like Eddie Floyd or William Bell or Jelly Bill Rankin, you name it. Well, I gotta reach out and sing if I can find somebody who would love to sing it. But icing on the cake was the Muscle Shoals horns. So I have Harvey Thompson, Charles Rose, Jim Horn, and Steve Herman on the track too. And we'll really put that grease on it. And Charles Rose is responsible for the horn arrangement. So this is my demo that hopefully will someday be a master for a master soul singer.
You've been through changes, feel the same way too. Meet me at the Juke joint, and I'll party with you. On Saturday night, when the stars are shining bright, hear me some Juke joint music. See those neon lights. Saturday night, and the stars are shining bright. Hear me some Juke joint music. See those neon lights. Saturday night, when the stars are shining bright. Give me some Juke joint music. See those neon lights. Gotta have me some Juke joint music.
That was Juke Joint music and neon lights. And when I share this last recording with George Jackson and Harrison Calloway, I got some really complimentary feedback, which really reaffirmed me that I'm on the right track, trying to make funky and soulful music with some of the great musicians in and around Muscle Shoals. So now let's get to the interview I did with George in 2009 down in Jackson, Mississippi. And I wish I was less green and knew about him, but I'm just so glad I can share it with you now, and it brings back beautiful memories I have with George and working with him and hanging with him. So here we go, and it kind of fades in with me and him talking about me just experiencing the members of the Muscle Shoals rhythm section being inducted in the Musicians Hall of Fame up in Nashville. Here we go.
Tell me when. Go ahead.
Okay, now what were you saying about Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah.
They was you said you met them when?
Yeah, last year I went to the Musicians Hall of Fame induction ceremony where they played and were inducted by the committee there.
Yeah.
And so that's when I met them for the first time on my last trip to the United States, and this time I met them again. And they wanted me to say hello because, I mean, you have a lot of history together.
Well, thank you. And they deserve it. They really deserve to be inducted. They are some great musicians, and we have had many great recording sessions together. We've had a good time together. You know, the combination, like, when we're in the studio, they kind of can feel where I'm coming from, you know. We sort of just feel off each other when we trying to record a song, and it becomes very natural, you know. Good feeling.
Yeah, and then you recorded the demos with them as a singer.
as an artist and also as a songwriter.
Yeah.
When I left Fame and started working with Jimmy and Roger and a different one, Barry Beckett and all the guys, I had more of a freedom thing to work with them because certain songs I would do at Fame, I started writing when I got with Jimmy Johnson.
Okay. Yeah, Recall is known as a guy who wants to have everything under control.
Yeah, and in a way, but I must give Rick credit that he made me a better songwriter. When I first started writing songs for Rick, he would turn down every song I would write, and then he started teaching me about trying to find a hook for the song, find something different and find a real good hook, and that helped me to develop to become the songwriter I am today. I learned a lot from Rick and from everybody that I happened to come in contact with. It helped me a whole lot.
Yeah. You were living in Muscle Shoals back then.
I was living in Memphis, then I moved to Muscle Shoals, I think for about a year, and I worked on some music, me and a guy named Mickey Buckins.
I met him like 4 days ago.
Uh-huh.
Because my friend I'm living with in Florence, he's called Bob Killen.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be some sort of stuff songwriter at Fame as well, and like keyboard player, but not in the rhythm section, more for demos.
Mm-hmm.
And he even told me that you wrote like one song together that was probably called Gotta Have It.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Can you remember that?
Long time ago, long time ago. And, when I was in Muscle Shoals, I used to write songs for just about anybody that came through, and it's so many songs I've written. I'm sorry to say I've forgotten almost now,
Yeah.
until I hear the demo and then it remind me of something I wrote a long time ago.
Of course. Yeah.
But it was a good experience though. Moved down and stayed down for about a year and just had a lot of fun, writing songs and, meeting new people that they brought, from out of town down there. And during that time, Muscle Shoals was really booming with a lot of recording artists coming down to record most of the time.
Yeah. One of my favorite songs of yours is the one you wrote about Aretha. Can you tell me more about that?
Aretha sang one for me. Well, actually, I recorded it, but and a friend of mine had an idea about Aretha, and so I'm a huge Aretha Franklin fan. So I said, let's put this song in this manner. So I kind of suggested certain things about the song and played the song to Tom Dowles of Atlantic Records. At the time, we have an idea about Aretha Franklin that I think you may want to put on Arthur Conley. So Arthur Conley, during that time, had left and went to Europe to record over there. So Tom said, I tell you what, he said, instead of trying to get a song out the Conley, why don't you do it yourself? So I said, okay. So I made a demo and I called Willie Mitchell and played the song to Willie Mitchell over the phone. So Willie said, man, I love it. He said, I can feel the soul coming through the phone. And we got together and put that record together. Hey, Aretha sang one for me, which is one of my most favorite recordings I've done in a long time. And it was on a high label. It did pretty good. It made us, a little local noise. It wasn't no real big hit, but it did a lot of good for me as far as an artist concerned. And also I met Aretha Franklin through the song.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it just recently got cut by a girl named Cat Power.
Yeah, I heard about that. And I heard her version. Her version is real good. I like it. She done it a little different than the way I did it, but naturally when you cover another song, you have to try to come up with something a little different than the original version. And I like the way she did it. I think she did a good job. I just think that when they put my song out, every time they play Hey Aretha, they would play Aretha Franklin right behind me. They play something she did. And so it boosts her a whole lot. When they played my record, they played hers too. And she was, like I said, she one of my favorite female singers, and you know, it was just an honor to do a song as a tribute to her. You know?
Yeah. And of course, you're well known for your co-writing on the Bob Seger song "All Time Rock and Roll."
Yeah.
Kid Rock played it with the Muscle Shoals rhythm section when they were inducted, so obviously it was also an important song for them.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Well, you know, Old Time Rock and Roll is it's a great story within itself. In Memphis, I was on my way to the dog track. It's a little thing we have in Memphis called a dog track, where you gamble on the dogs. And I had an idea called Old Time Rock and Roll. Me during that time, I was kind of a little fed up with the disco. So I said, I'll write something that's going to be a little bit different. So that's why the idea came from. She took those old records off the shelf. I listened to them by myself. And so another friend of mine came by who was going to the dog track with me. I said, let me play you an idea I got called Old Time Rock and Roll. So you think about it. He said, I like it. So I stopped it right there, and we both went to the track. So when I got back from the dog track, I got back on the song again. So I think I was debating between one word, reminiscing, change the word to something else. But this guy, Tom Jones, I'm talking about now, he had a line, I think it was called the reminiscing line. Because I was saying something I think about them during that time or something, and he said reminisce. However it came into play. And that's how the song came together. I had a little beat, dun 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 dun. This simplicity beat, dun 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 dun. Then I went to the song. So when I went to Muscle Shoals for a recording session, we had scheduled 9 R&B songs. So I told Jim, I said, Jim, I have an idea, a rock and roll song. And I thought everybody could just laugh and fall on the floor and just just laugh, you know, because we were doing R&B. Nobody doing any rock and roll, not on this session. So, but the guys, they got into it, and they got a groove going on it, man. Everybody just had a good time, just playing on the demo. And I had no idea ever Bob Seger would ever record the song. Never. Just an idea, like same idea I had on One Bad Apple. I had no idea the Osmonds would do One Bad Apple. Just an idea, you know, one of them things where I said, well, this be a good song for this person or that person, but I had no idea they was going to do it. So when Old Time Rock and Roll was complete and Jimmy Johnson played the Bob Seger, I was surprised as anyone else when Bob Seger decided to record it. Now, during that particular time, I think there was one line that kind of bugged Bob a little bit that he wanted to change to fit, he said, his audience. So I wasn't there when they cut the track, but they called me on the phone long distance. I was sick in Memphis with the flu, and they called me and said, Bob Seger want to change this and change that. I said, great. You know, give him whatever he needs. Bob Seger, I said, I'm honored that he want to record the song. So he did change. Bob wrote a whole different course to the song. They really made it great as it is. I give Bob Seger credit for that. You know, but during that time, he said he didn't want no writers. He just wanted to change the song a little bit. And so he did, and we helped make the song a great song as it is. The arrangement, the original idea, all that that was all me. You know, just something I want to do off the wall, like I come with the off the walls idea, like I did Down Home Blues. Just, you know, it's one of those things that just happen. You can't never pinpoint when it might happen again. One of those rare songs that, you know, that you write. You know.
Yeah, and I mean it was a big hit.
Oh, look! I played this song to Tina Turner. She wanted to cut it before she got real big. She just left Ike, and I played her the song. But I had already obligated the song to Bob Seger, so therefore I couldn't let Tina record the song. But she danced all over the hotel when she heard it. She loved it, and everybody liked it. And I'm just so glad that Bob Seger did the fantastic job that he did on it. I don't believe anybody else could have done a good job it's a thing for natural for Bob Seger to come in and just sing it like that. And I'm glad today that he did it in such a great song.
And what are your favorite songwriters that you collaborated with in the past?
Well, there's so many. I like working with Raymond Moore. He and I both started with FAME a long time ago, and we started in Memphis. I like Robert Miller. He did co-wrote with me, Cheating in the Next Room. I like and some of the things me and Tom Jones did. These are the guys when I first got signed to Muscle Shoals Sound. They all followed me from Memphis down there, and started recording with me down there too. And that's so many, man. Mickey Buckins and I worked on many ideas. And it's hard to say who's my favorite.
Yeah, you don't have to single out one, of course.
No, it's hard to
like
say. I like working with different ones because everybody got different little things to add, to the parts, I call it. But not the people that I was influenced by most of coming up was like Curtis Mayfield, Smokey Robinson, the Miracles, these type of writers I used to listen to and try to write songs that something like they would do, and those are the ones that influenced me.
And what nowadays do you work mostly on your own, or do you do more co-writing?
I do both. I do both. I try to write. I still try to write a song that, that out of the ordinary for somebody. Because I believe that in order to be successful, you have to always write something different. If you just become just a regular songwriter, it's hard to get a song recorded because they're looking for a song that's different, not the same old everyday thing. So I'm always trying to write something a little bit different. I just did 7 songs that we got to find the vocals on. Then I got 3 more songs I've been working on entirely different than what I've been doing. A little more into the sort of the hip hop a little bit, Cause see me, I as the time changed, I slowly changed too, I mean, I still write the same music, but I try to always kind of stay on top of what's current, what's going on today's market,
Yeah.
So I listen to the Kid Rock, I listen to the P. Diddy's, I listen to a little bit of everything, that way I can combine all that into different ideas.
Yeah. And do you have like favorite songs of yours, or is it hard to single out?
Favorite songs, I would have to say, would be like Old Time Rock and Roll, naturally, favorite. One Bad Apple, favorite, because these, not only because they sold millions of copies, because they was like trendsetters. Down Home Blues, naturally, favorite, because it brought the blues back and still stand as a great blues song. And Cheating in the Next Room, I like that. And the type of song I like to listen to is and like the one Wolf was playing a minute ago. For me, it's a little different from the usual songs I always write. I try to get into something a little bit different, Cause I used to play in piano bars in Memphis a long time ago, and they request all kind of different songs. They request songs like "Girl from Ipanema." They request songs like Ray Charles, "I Can't Stop Loving You." Sometimes I have to do "Satin Doll." What I say, and there's different kind of songs. And so I took all them different songs and patterns, and when I write a song, I try to combine what I learned then, with now kind of thing, And I had some songs recorded by James Brown, Tina Turner, Liza McNally, Joan Baez, Wilson Pickett, the late Wilson Pickett, Candace Staten, Clarence Carter. I can go on and on.
It's probably easier just to name the ones you that haven't cut a song of yours.
Well, let me see. Well, maybe Al Green hadn't cut one, but then Aretha Franklin, okay. But mostly everybody else have. Etta James recorded one of my songs, so I'm just honored that these artists that I grew up listening to I got a chance to work with them, and they recorded my music. It's a great honor.
Yeah. Do you have plans on making another record on your own?
Yeah, I wanted to record an album on my own, doing songs that I kind of like to do today. You know, to go along with what the kids are buying today and what the people listen to on the radio. You know, songs that I believe would touch somebody. You know, I like to do that.
Yeah, I would buy it.
Well, thanks. I hope somebody would. No, I believe I can cut a real nice, successful. And if nobody buys it, just for me, I like to just cut something that say this is the kind of song I want to sing. This is the kind of song I enjoy doing. You know, like of all the songs I recorded, I did a song called "That's How Much You Mean to Me, Girl" with Rick Hall, and I did a song called "Find Them, Fool Them, and Forget Them" with Rick Hall. But I think when it comes down to my personal taste, I can admire Aretha more than I do any other song. I like that because I got a chance to really be me in that song. Hey, Aretha, sing one for me. You know, I like that song.
Yeah, me too. And when you write the song, do you come here to demo it, or do you do it?
It's all depend. I can come here and go on the piano and get with the musicians and really get across an idea I might have in my head I want to record. But most of the time, I could be at home and I can go on the piano and I write down some lyrics and make some chords up. Then I get here with the musician, and actually we go from there to, to record them to make it more better than what I might have in my mind, in my head rather. Yeah, it's depending on what the idea come from or when the idea come to me. Sometimes I might get a good song title, and then I work on the music. And sometimes I might just hear some music, and I work on the song title. It just comes different time, different ways.
Yeah. Is it possible that I just maybe name a name of one of my heroes, and
yeah.
you tell me a little bit about them? It's all people, of course, that you tell me something about that. Dan Penn.
Okay, Dan. Well, I met Dan a couple of times, but Dan used to write for Rick Hall. I know and Spooner, and they wrote some great songs, man. What they big record? They did a thing for Aretha too. I think they did "Do Right Woman."
Yeah.
And one of the songs I heard when I first met Dan was "Take Me Just As I Am." They wrote that. I just remember one night that me, Dan, and Chip Mormon was in Memphis was gonna write a song. We was up all night, and we could never get that song together. We was up all night, man. Me and Dan and Chip Mormon, and we never wrote the song. But we had a good time just trying to write the song. I think he's a great writer. Great. He wrote some great songs, and I think he's a great writer.
Do you remember Eddie Hinton?
I remember him at FAME, but I only met Eddie one time. When I came to FAME, they had mostly left. Dan and Eddie, I came right after they had left. So I didn't get a chance to, meet them. Like, let's say somebody else would know them, like David Hood would know them, or Jimmy would know them.
Okay. And tell me something about the Muscle Shoals rhythm section, or the individuals in it.
They are fantastic musicians. I think that Jim is great. David Hood, fantastic bass player. Barry Becker was there when I was with them too. Barry's fantastic piano player. Roger Hawkins, to me, one of a kind. He had that little certain thing he could play that could nobody do but Roger, And when any kind of song I would bring them guys, they could always work it out, man. Whether it just be fantastic. I every song I recorded with them, I really enjoyed it. It was just. In fact, we cut masters almost instead of demos, man. We couldn't like masters.
Well, Jimmy Johnson told me that Roger Hawkins was one of the few drummers he knew that was actually listening to the lyrics while playing.
Yeah.
So that maybe made it a little bit more.
Yeah,
special.
he paid a lot of attention to that. He was great. They all were. I mean, they all had to have a certain little thing. And Clay Ivory, fantastic musician, and all them guys, man. I think Old Time Rock and Roll. I believe, what's that guy named Randy played on that.
Randy McCormick.
I think he played piano on that. But they all just great musicians. All I can say, man, they're great. You know, they were good then, and they still good now. You know.
Yeah. And can you tell me something about the Memphis horns or the Muscle Shoals horns?
Harrison Calloway and Ronnie Eves and who was the other guy? Great. You know, Harrison Calloway do most of all the arrangement for the musicians, for the artists here in Malaco. Fantastic musician, great. The Memphis horns, I know one guy. I know Andrew Love. I know about Wang and different ones, but I never worked with them as much as I did with the Muscle Shoals horns. I think I used them a couple of times on some recording sessions up there, but basically I always worked out of Muscle Shoals that I did in Memphis.
Yeah.
But they good musicians. Ben Carley, I mean I know Ben real well. You know, the one they survived, Otis Clay. Ben, they all great musicians. You know, they all just come down here and record, and some would go up there and record, you know, and it's great during that time. Everybody was sort of helping each other out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they all great. Really mentioned, they all great musicians. You know.
Yeah. What would you like to achieve now? I mean, besides making your record, what are your dreams?
That's a good question. Well, you know, I like I said, cut this album, and maybe just still write songs, but I'm still constantly trying to stay on top of what's happening in the music business today. You know, it's changed so much now. From my days when we had the piano, guitar, drums, now everybody got the synthesizers so I'm constantly trying to learn the new thing, how to deal with the new thing, you know, because I enjoy writing songs. And so I don't think that too much I would, you know, would change. I kind of like the way I still can kind of lay back and write music and kind of, you know, maybe write some type of different artists than what we have right now. You know, I would love to get a song on just say Day 26. Okay, this is a group that P Diddy discovered. They're on the show called Making the Band. And I got songs they could do. But the only problem is they probably more hip-hop, you know. But I still believe you can take the song and break it down to, you know, to fit them guys. They're a good group. You know. See, that's me imagine like I did old time rock and roll. So, okay, this be a good song for this person, that person. And just write the song and have no idea if they ever going to record it, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for sharing all the stories, and I really appreciate it. I just can tell you that I'm a very big fan of your music,
But thank
and
you.
I try to follow whatever you do in the future.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. I'm glad that you to talk to you now.
And that was my conversation with my hero, mentor, friend, George Jackson. A truly great, legendary, one-of-a-kind songwriter and soulful human being. And before I end this, I would like to let you have a little sneak peek in another song that George and I wrote. I believe it's the first one we wrote together. It's called Keep a Light On. I had some verses that I brought to the session, and then he put his magic on it, came up with a beautiful piano riff, and had the chorus in his mind. And well, I just feel really blessed for the gift he gave me by writing this song with me. And here's that first little piano riff that he came up with.
Bed. Instead of you, I found a goodbye letter instead. Something was wrong when you didn't let it show until the early morning when you walked out the door. cut my heart in two with a burning knife. In a sea of salty tears, I had to die. Couldn't move or talk, just want to be alone. Since the day that you left my home. So you won't get lost in the dark. That you're trying to find your way back into my heart. I'm gonna keep a light on. Yeah, a light on in my heart.
And that's how it sounded in the room when we wrote the song. Just recorded on my cell phone at the time, and then we elaborated a little bit, but it was pretty much it. Once he had that riff and that little chorus that resolved it all, the song was born. And then with a little help from Harrison Calloway, we went into the studio and cut a little demo of it, and this is what the demo sounded like with George singing.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I woke up in an empty bed. Instead of you, I found a goodbye letter instead. Something was wrong when you didn't let it show until that early morning when you walked out the door. You cut my heart in two with a burning knife. In a sea of salty tears, I had to die. Couldn't move, just wanted to be left alone. Since the day you left my home. So you won't get lost in the dark. If you're trying to find your way back into my heart, I'm gonna keep a light on, baby, a light on in my heart.
And that again was Harrison Calloway on piano, a live guitar and program bass and drums, with George singing to it. We did it at this little cool funky studio down in Jackson, Mississippi, late one evening, and that was great to have a demo of it with George singing it, but I felt like that version strayed just a little too far from that original idea with that cool piano riff. So I went in the studio with Dick 50 and the Muscle Shoals horns. I made sure my version was a little closer to that piano idea that George brought to the table initially. So here's that version of Keep a Light On.
So you won't get lost in the dark if you try to find your way back into my heart. I'm gonna keep a light on. A light on in my heart. Yeah, a light on in my heart. Keep a light on in my heart. Yeah, keep a light on. A light on in my heart. Keep a light on in my heart. Yeah, keep a light on. A light on in my heart. Keep a light on in my heart. Yeah, keep a light on. A light on in my heart. Keep a light on in my heart. Yeah, a light on in my heart.
And that was my producer's demo with Dick 50, the Muscle Shoals horns, and the McCrary sister. And still hope I can get somebody like Candy Staten or Mavis Staples to record this song. Now we're coming to the end of our episode, my little tribute to the great George Jackson. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Thank you so much for listening in. I'm really proud to share this episode with you all. And if you enjoyed it, please make sure to go back and listen to some of the other episodes I have with some of the great musicians, songwriters, producers associated with Muscle Shoals, including David Hood, Donnie Fritz, Mickey Buckins, Charles Rose, you name it. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe and like to the Crazy Chester Radio Hour wherever you listen to podcasts. And I hope to catch you again next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Crazy Chester Radio Hour was created and produced by me, Andreas Werner, producer, songwriter, composer with a Muscle Shoals heart. The theme song is performed by Jimmy Hall of Wet Willie and the Funky Chester Rhythm Section. It was recorded at Creative Workshop Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. You can find out more about the podcast and myself at crazychesterrecords.com or on Instagram at crazychesterrecords.